Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Fuel for Success on this Wednesday morning. Pacey, you're absolutely right. Fasten your seatbelt. It's time to blast through this show. We're going to give you some amazing advice about making big decisions in your life, advice about relationships, some things that we've learned. And as we always say, bad decisions make great stories. It also helps build wisdom. So we're going to mine into that vein of bad decisions that we've made and bring out the gold for y'all. So you're going to benefit from our mistakes, and that's what we're here for. And my friend, my co-host, Matt Maddox, is with us here in the, studio, virtually. And I want to say good morning to you. And we don't have the same color shirt on today, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, me too, Mike. You know what? Sometimes in life, literally here, I get, you ever have these moments where you're like, wow, like I have a son, or
Yeah.
like even just sitting here thinking of working with you, my friend, having you as a friend in my life makes me feel so rich. It makes me feel so blessed, wealthy. Seriously. I mean, to have a friend like Mike Hopkins, not only is your friend, your best friend, but also your business partner, it's a blessing, man. So, man, I'm loving what we're doing. I mean, sometimes you ever just like pinch me. Is this real? Like seriously,
exactly
we get to do this. We get to change the world. We get to do Fuel for Success. We get to do My Help 90. I was about to say Mission 25. We still get to do Mission 25. We just got it on hold for a year. That's all. A year-ish.
Ish. And we get to interact with all these amazing people that are live with us and that watch later. And what an incredible family that joins us in Fuel for Success every week. So thank you to each and every one of you. You make it all worthwhile. And hey, real quickly, if you're watching live, ask questions, interact. We're going to jump through some questions here, but ask away. And if you're watching later or listening on iTunes, join us live, first of all. But if you can't and you have a question, comment. If you just even want to, talk about the shirts we wear, I don't care. Send us a text, 727-341-5599, or we would love to hear from you. And so there. Hey, let me jump into the topic today, and we're going to be talking about big decisions. And everybody has to make big decisions in their life at some time, whether it's buying a house, buying a new car. Hey, it could be, I'm going to get a new cell phone. What kind should I get? Let me help you out. Get an iPhone. But it may be, hey, I need to get a new digital camera. Maybe it's, I'm looking to, get serious in a relationship. Who should I get serious with? All those big decisions. I need a new job. I'm looking at a new job. What job should I take? Right? Those big decisions in life. And you and I are process people, right? So can you walk me through a process in your mind of how do I go about deconstructing this process of making a big decision?
Mike, I think too many people, when it comes to big decisions, they get lost in the hugeness of the decision, the potential outcomes. And you're right. I mean, you have to develop a process, and you have to be process-oriented in life to be successful, in my opinion. A process that I follow whenever I have to make a major decision, big decision, is, Mike, as you know, I'm a really big list maker. So I'll start with, I like writing out my thoughts because it brings clarity to here. So my first step, obviously, first is I take it to God. I really do. Mike, I have a very simple way that I make decisions, and I'll literally say, okay, God, I have this decision to make. The Bible says that if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, and he gives to all men liberally. And Mike, that is the most comforting scripture to me, to know that anytime you lack wisdom, if you ask it of God, he's going to give it to you. There's no better wisdom than wisdom that comes from God. There's not. So I'll say, God, I got to make a major decision. Please give me the wisdom to make this decision. And if it's right, open the door. If it's not right, close the door. A lot of times when you give your decisions, major decisions to God and ask him to open the door, then it becomes obvious. And ask him to close the door, then that also becomes obvious. So now on the practical side, after I'll pray about it, I will make a list. of all, I mean, and I might spend an hour or two with a cup of tea on this. And I'll sit maybe in a chair, maybe out on the beach, maybe in a quiet place, in a hammock or whatever, and I'll think of every potential, the pros and cons. Seriously, Mike, I know it's old school, but pros and cons to me bring such clarity. And then I'll obviously literally make a list of how this could affect Caleb. So I'll write out every way possible this could affect him, and good or bad, right? Just having this on paper brings clarity to mind. Then, Mike, literally, I have about 5 people. I would never make a major decision without talking to you, Chris Dillingham, my pastor, Anthony Mangan, and there's a few other people that I'll not name publicly that I go to because they're very in tune with my life and my calling, and and I'll tell you this, Mike. Usually when I go talk to those 5 or 6 people, usually I'll know what the decision is or what the answer is. Straight up, I'll know. In other words, those people I trust with my life, and I know that every time they've ever given me advice, it's just been spot on. And Mike, I would have a hard time making a decision that all 5 of them did not feel good about. If any of those 5 looked at me and said, Matt, I got a bad feeling about this, I would probably put on the brakes. I really would. Yeah. Mike, me following that process, straight up, it saves me from some pretty bad decisions. It saves me from, missing it, starting off by praying, writing out the pros and cons, being clear about how this could affect Caleb, and then talking to those 5 people. From there, Mike, it's clear, man. It's clear in my mind. Okay, this is a good decision. That. You know what I mean? That's what I do, man. Do.
And you know what I really, really like about that is you were able to, like that, give me what your repeatable process is. And since your process is repeatable, you have confidence in it, right? And you've probably developed that over time and tweaked it a little bit here and there, but now you know that process works. And so when you have a process and you follow the process and it's repeatable, then you know that the results are going to be repeatable. So then you have confidence in it, et cetera, et cetera. And I agree 100% with everything you said, and thanks for going spiritual from the outset. It wasn't on my list. But one thing I would add, too, is that the pros and cons list is a great idea. Remember that sometimes you may list a bunch of items and then pros and cons, but it also helps to sort those in order of priority, because every pro and every con doesn't have the same weight. And, for example, if let's take a simple example, you're buying a car and maybe you want, one that's black, right? But having air conditioning is much more important than it being black. So, when you're looking at two different cars, price points and different things, you want to make sure that you understand the balance of what's important, more important than other things. And that can get complicated, but try to sort them in order is all I'm saying.
Well, I like that, because then there's the practical side of, there's some things you ain't got to pray about. Matt, we'd love to come to Hawaii and speak. Okay, I don't need to call Mike. I don't need to go say, God, is this okay? You know what I'm saying? Or like, for me, I really love trucks. I'm a truck guy, straight up. I love trucks. I personally don't own a truck because I drive so much that economically, I don't like to waste money. And to me, the desire for a truck versus all the gas money I would spend. And I mean, when I say I drive a lot between picking up my son, going to the beach, going places, baseball, you name it. I'm just like, the desire it's not economically smart in my opinion. So I think there's also a practical side of decision making where it's like, I could do this. I could go buy a truck today, but it's, you know what else a lot of people don't do, Mike, is they don't think long term. They don't think. They don't slow down and think practical. It's like, why I don't have a dog. I know a lot of people, but it's straight up not practical for me to own a dog. It's just not. So I don't have one.
Right. So real quickly, and thanks, Melody. I'm glad that helped. I gave her the pro-con thing when she was looking at colleges for her daughter. And one thing, if I remember right, Melody, was I stressed that write it down. I mean, it's one thing to sort of hold a mental list of your pros and cons. Write it down, write it down, write it down. Because when you look at it and you write the pros and cons, and even if you start rating things like this is important, this is less important, this is, a 10, this is a 5, whatever, write it down so that you can see it, visualize it. That whole process is important to the decision making.
Mike, and you know what? You're right. And I even created an Excel sheet scoring system back. A while back. I wrote talking about practical. I was, because I kind of believe in courtship. I was highly interested in 2 different ladies that were just unreal, awesome, amazing. But you can't have them both, right? So like, I literally created an Excel spreadsheet based on like 30 things. And I put their names down and I gave them a score between 1 and 10. And whoever got the highest score is who I went with. Meaning, like, as crazy as that may sound, like, the numbers don't lie. Like, okay, right. How about their ability to handle pressure? That was one of my deals. But one of them was like a 7, one of them was a 10. So when I looked at all the differentiators, the score came down to like a difference of like 2. No joke, like 2. And so, but then I looked at, like you said, I looked at the priorities. Ability to handle pressure is pretty massive. That was one of the kind of, in a horse race, what do they say? What, they win, the difference between millions is what? Just not even a fraction of just a millisecond, So sometimes it's the small things that might separate a major decision, and prioritizing it helps you come up with that clarity.
So quickly, what would you say to Britton? She's asking, in those big decisions, moving, buying a new house, finding a new job, how do you get past the fear of getting outside your comfort zone? It's kind of a leading question. I think you've got a good answer to that.
I got a good answer in the fact that, it's harder for me, Britton, because I used to have fears, but I'm pretty much at a fearless place in my life. So I'm going to be careful answering this because I know you're a mom of 2 kids, a single mom at that. So, you know what? The fear of the comfort zone is just one of those things where, it's kind of like, you have to face those emotions. You have to face the uncomfortableness and the scariness of leaving a comfort zone. You just have to face it. There's no other way around it. Is there any magic pill? Is there any magic formula? I don't know of any other than just, embrace the emotions and, take it step by step. I would say just take it one step at a time, live in the now, and keep your mind on why you're moving, why you're buying the house, why you're changing jobs. The why is always what keeps me motivated. When the fear comes, when I don't know, it's like this, okay? Shutting down Mission 25 for this year, Mike can tell you, if someone asked me right now, probably the top 3 agonizing decisions I've ever made in my life. Mike and I, we agonized over this. This was not easy. But the why, believe it or not, is what, even to this day, when I'm like, and I think Carol posted a picture of Mission 25 last night. Even this weekend, talking about Mission 25, I was just like, Jesus, have mercy, But here's the deal, my friend. The why, keeping your focus on the why, will help you, when you have to make those tough decisions that require you to leave your comfort zone. That's my thought. You, Mike?
Well, I think that due diligence in putting your effort into the process of making the decision, listing out the pros and cons, understanding the implications and the ramifications. And Matt, when you were explaining the process, you said you list out the effects on Caleb, and the effects on different areas of your life. Once you lay that all out and have it in front of you, I think that'll give you the comfort that you can get outside your comfort zone. It'll look like once you have confidence that, first of all, you did your due diligence in the process, you have confidence in the process, you have confidence in the decision, then there's less anxiety, there's less difficulty, and I think you can launch into it a little bit easier. And I see you put up Tommy's question. I was going to go here next. Great question, Tommy. Have you ever had a big decision where you had to walk away from something that you really wanted?
More than you'll ever know, Tommy. More than you'll ever know. Probably, and will continue to. That's the path of success. The path of success requires for you to look right in the face of your wants and desires and say no. I'm not kidding. The path of success is going to require you to walk away from things that you want. You're going to have to say no to the good to say yes to the best. You've got to say no to temporary satisfaction or whatever the case may be. Tommy, my answer is yes. It's not easy. There's been many times, and there'll probably be many more times that I'll have to walk away from things that I really want. And it depends on what that want is. I've had to make some excruciating decisions against my own desire, and that's not easy. Mike, you?
Absolutely. Yeah, happens all the time, and that's why it's important to really look at how you make the decision. Mission 25 is a great example, and you mentioned it before. That was an excruciating decision, and it's true. Just putting that aside for a year ish was extra. Did we want to go back and do Mission 25? Absolutely, 100%. Still do, but understanding the why, going with it, those sort of things, it makes a big difference.
Mike, you walking away from smoking, even though you really wanted to do it. I know it was hard, and I'm proud of you.
I'm gonna have the smoking mute button. I didn't see it coming this time. I can't believe it. Hey, let me ask you this then. So just a quick follow-up question, and we're running late here, obviously, again. But
forget the 11-minute show. It's feeling 20 minutes. I think our new goal is 20 minutes. We can't. The 11-minute nap I've mastered. The ability to shut up in 11 minutes. I just don't know if we can master it.
Can't do it. There's too much, man. We want to help people, and so let me ask you this: and everybody that's ever had to make a big decision more than once, they've made the wrong decision. And sometimes we make the wrong decision, or maybe not the best decision. Okay. And let me ask you this, and I'm always, in whatever situation, my philosophy of life is whatever I do, at the very least I want to learn something from it, right? But what do you, and this kind of goes to the power of evaluation, if somebody finds themselves in a situation where they've made, not necessarily the best decision, and it's a big decision that affects their life, what should they do, post bad decision?
Well, Mike, the three things. Number one, if it's a decision that you've made that has hurt your family or friends, you got to be quick to own it, apologize with the deepest form of sincerity, and take responsibility for any of the repercussions that will leave behind after that decision. You got to, Mike, the amount of people that make bad decisions and don't look at their family, sit them down and say, look, I just seriously made the stupidest decision of the history of my life. I was an idiot. I wasn't thinking clearly. I missed it. I'm sorry. I'm taking responsibility. Mike, there's times when we make decisions that crush our families. But number two, if you've made a bad decision, Mike, at the end of the day, okay, I don't believe in living in the past. I don't. But I do believe in learning, and I'm such a journaler and such a list maker that I literally have the lessons learned on all of my bad decisions. Because I'm on planes all the time, so that's when I do my best journaling and thinking, and I'll literally write out, okay, what did I learn from this? What could I have done different? And I visit the three questions. What do I need to keep doing? What do I need to start doing? What do I need to stop doing? Why did I do this? I'm all about the why. Why did I make this decision? Why didn't I see this? Why didn't I feel this? Why didn't I, and then what happens is there's many times when you look back and you realize, what? Your little intuition meter was going off and you ignored that, and the warning signs were there and you ignored that. So Mike, take a look at it and write down and accept the things you need to learn. Make everything right, and if it affected people. And then number three, move on. Move on. Don't suck your thumb. Don't whine about it for 9 months. Don't keep talking about it. Don't keep apologizing. Like, today's a new day. You've got to pull up your boots and move on and repair and rebuild and take it one step at a time and move in the next direction. Mike, you can rebuild credibility and trust with people. That's a long, big, huge journey. Depends on what kind of decision we're talking about. I am for changing. If you realize, okay, let's say, I'll give you an example. I once took a job as a youth pastor in Missouri, and I was packing my bags. Literally, I was loading the U-Haul to go to Missouri. I was living in Michigan, and it was 12:30 at night. I literally was on my way. I was leaving the next day, and I had the sickest feeling. I can't explain it. I went through all my process of, this decision. And I called my pastor. I said, man, I have the sickest feeling in the world about this decision. And he said, it's funny. I've had a bad feeling all day about you going there. Bro, I have my U-Haul. I have stuff in boxes. So don't be afraid to stop. It's like what we went back to talking to engaged couples.
Right.
I guess I'm saying, Mike, when you're in the middle of a bad decision, don't keep going just because, I've already decided, don't be afraid to stop and say, ooh, I missed it here. That was the toughest phone call of my life, man. One of them is calling that guy and saying, look, his church was all excited. It was a church of about 400. They had a house for me. I said, I just cannot explain the fact I don't feel good about coming. I can't explain it. I don't even know why I don't feel good, but I don't. So, Mike, just don't be afraid to stop if you feel a check or you sense, ooh, I'm making a bad decision here. U-turn, man, quick. What do you do if you made a wrong turn on the highway? Do you keep going? No. You get right back on the direction you're supposed to be. That's my thought. What about you?
Hey, that's a great example, and those couple of days of discomfort that you had to go through when you reversed that decision, probably saved you years of discomfort. And so, don't think about the short term in that case. Think about the long term. I will say this too: if you find yourself on the backside of a bad decision, definitely do evaluate and look at and list out your mistakes. What mistakes did I make when I made this decision? And again, a simple example of buying a car. Maybe you bought the wrong car, and in the end, you're like, man, I don't like this car. And you definitely want to look at, there's the sort of surface things, like what is it about this car I don't like? But I love what you said, Matt, about the why. Look at why you made that decision. Okay, what was it about your process, your decision-making process that failed? And then bring a corrective action into your process so that the next time you have to make a big decision, you do a better job of it and you're less likely to make a mistake. That's what I mean by evaluation. Not just like, I guess I didn't think about the mileage on the car. Next time I buy a car, I'm going to consider that. Well, that's good too, but look at why you made the decision to buy that car and fix the process. So once you have a solid process, then life gets easier.
Mike, it really does. If you can get a process going for everything in your life, you're exactly right. It gets easier. And I know we got a minute or so left, Mike. If there are any other questions that maybe we might have missed, and while you're looking for that, I do want to say, just kind of following up with what Mike said, guys, slow down and do visit the why. Why is so powerful in you becoming a better you. You growing, you learning, you getting better. Knowing why you do things is so important. But anyways, Mike, any other questions, my friend?
Mary asked the question. I think we kind of covered this, Mary, but sort of sideways covered it. But if once you make the decision, and sometimes there's going to be doubt and fear that maybe you made the wrong decision, maybe you didn't, and that can be a tricky scenario. Like the example of you going to Missouri. In that case, you know that it was the wrong decision. You backed out of it. Sometimes it's ourselves, just like, I don't know, buyer's remorse or self-doubt. What are your thoughts on this, Matt?
My thoughts are, I had a good thought, and my mind just went blank. I actually had a really good thought. I'm going to say this. My philosophy and my teachings and my beliefs lead me to this. Sometimes the wrong decision is better than indecision. You know what's killing a lot of people? Not the wrong decision, indecision. Sometimes wrong decisions can be corrected, but indecision can absolutely be the death of success or the death of relationships. So be careful not to become indecisive. Indecisive is dangerous. What's the Bible say? A double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. It affects every area of your life when you're teeter-tottering on so many major decisions. You've got to set your values. You've got to set your boundaries. You've got to know where you're going. You've got to be decisive about where you're going. And sometimes a passionate, convicting decisiveness can eliminate a lot of doubt and fear. Like when you know that you've made the right decision, even when the emotion of doubt or fear comes up, nope, I know I've made the right decision. I'm going forward with it. I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to doubt it when the times are tough. I'm not going to be afraid when it doesn't look like it's working out. I know. It's like us starting this business, My Health 90. Mike and I basically looked at each other and said, hey, let's bet on us. You know what? Are there times when it got scary and we're like, ooh, absolutely. But we knew there were doubts and fears, natural, normal human doubts and fears. Same thing with starting Mission 25 last year. Freaked us out, eliminating the charge of registration, and going into these major cities basically blind with no funding. But we knew that God was with us. We knew that God had called us to do it. And we knew that it would work out, and it did. Sometimes my confidence will absolutely trump the fears and doubts when you know that you've made the right decision. And sometimes you've got to be extremely decisive, and you've got to be a bulldog about it. You've got to be, I don't want to say stubborn, but you've got to be so strong in your conviction that the decision that you made was right. And this will help people to get married. I mean, how bad is it, Mike, to get like 3 months into your marriage and start doubting, did I marry the right one?
Yeah, well, there's the illusion of choice, or the opportunity of choice destroys so many relationships. And we don't have time to go into that, but that's a deep topic. So in any decision, do it or don't do it, right? Go all in or don't go all in. Don't be wishy-washy. Don't be on the fence.
Yes.
Do it or don't do it.
Right. Do it or don't do it. I'm telling you, the more decisive that you can be in life, even because here's the deal, Mike. We're so afraid of the wrong decision. Actually, that's a bad emotion. You don't want to be fearing the wrong decision. It goes back to failure, right? Wrong decisions are going to happen. You just don't want to make wrong decisions that's going to affect your family. Those are the, did I make a bad investment? Did I make a bad choice on buying this car? Should I not have gone on this cruise right now? Those are decisions that we learn. But, I try, Mike, when it comes to Caleb, I'm pretty rock solid in making sure that I don't decide much that's going to affect his life. You know what I mean? For the bad, of course. But anyways, hey, we're actually way out of time. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I'm 100% with you, and I would rather be passionately wrong than apathetically indifferent.
That's powerful. I hope you guys heard what he just said. That is actually really good. And I believe that, Mike, and I live by that. That's good.
So go be passionately wrong. That's not what I'm saying, but
So we're going to end with Mike's quote because I love it so much you guys should be tweeting it. I'd rather be passionately wrong. I'm putting it on here for you.
I appreciate that.
I'm giving you a quote for today, bro. Don't ever say I don't give you a bone, okay?
Wow.
Rather than what? Indifferently?
What I say, apathetically indifferent?
Yeah.
Get your spell check going?
Well,
he's typing that. Hey, you know what it's like to be Matt's good friend? It's amazing. Just telling you. What an awesome time we have doing this show.
We have a lot of fun.
We have a lot of fun. there is passion in our lives. There's no doubt about that.
There's the quote of the day. I'd rather be passionately wrong than apathetically indifferent. Hey, that actually helps me in some things I'm dealing with in my life, Mike. I'm going to go passionately be wrong today. Hey, I love you guys. Mike, it was a great show. I trust it's going to help a lot of people in their life. I feel like this show actually could save some people from some disasters. I feel like this show could help some people make better choices in who they're going to marry. I feel like this people can help people decide whether to start a business. Apply these principles. What Mike and I gave you today was a lot of principles. Take the principles and apply it to your life. And Mike and I will be back tomorrow morning for our show about business and finances and entrepreneurship. Is that right, Mike? Tomorrow morning, 9:30?
Yes, sir.
And you can have fun. Hey, you guys got Amber in town for a few days, I see.
Yeah.
Mike, I'm going to call you out on air because I know Amber is the queen of baking. That don't forget your My Health 90 lifestyle, that you're only allowed to eat that stuff. Amber, if you're watching, Mike cannot eat any of that stuff during the week, so don't even bake it or make it. It's a My Health 90 lifestyle, and save it for Saturdays and Sundays. Mike, talk about decision making. This is where you're not allowed to be passionately wrong, my friend. Yes, give me that dessert.
You're gonna
I'd rather go on dessert and be wrong than think about it for 6 hours.
Yeah,
we love you guys. Y'all have a blast, and Mike, you and I will be tagging in today, man. I love how we just plan our tag-ins right at the end of our show. Are you free about 2? Are you free about 2 o'clock?
Yeah. Give me a shout.
We love you guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget you can go to fuelforsuccess.tv and watch any of our previous episodes. You also go to iTunes, watch there. Also go to YouTube. And if none of that works, we don't want you. We love you guys. Enjoy your day and have some fun. We'll see you tomorrow.